When I made Menace, I never really expected how far it would reach in the Geometry Dash community. It put me in a spotlight that honestly I wasn't entirely ready for. Whenever you create anything that gets a lot of attention, there will always be criticism, some good, some bad, but thankfully Menace leans towards the good. I've been lucky to have such a well-received level. Now before I start yapping, keep in mind that this video has a lot of personal beliefs included. If you don't want to hear me talk about things like religion, then I recommend clicking off this video. I'm making myself vulnerable, and I'm asking for mutual respect in regards to the topic shared. I'm sure all of the comments will be welcoming of my beliefs and lack any discourse whatsoever. And one more thing before I start, I just want to say thank you for helping me get 3,000 subscribers. I am hoping to get more content out, especially revolving around gameplay, and I do hope to continue to grow my community. One of the more common questions I get is, who is the man walking up the stairs? Well, that person is really just a representation of me. He's walking up slowly to reach the truth signified by the top of the stairs. When the man gets close to the top, the stairs move back, and he's flipped upside down. As the intro escalates, the man fades and becomes a glowing ball, representing an entirely new entity altogether. I describe it as separating yourself from humanity. Now, if you lose your morality, does that mean you lose your humanity? I'm not sure if those two are 100% intertwined, and both are concepts that differ from person to person. Now, as the level goes on, it slowly loses its color, and by the point that it reaches a spiral, the color is completely gone. The spiral is really just a simple reflection of the downward spiral of the man on the stairs. Now, the following part does have orange, unpassable blocks, but I did that because I valued the visuals of that section over the theme. It felt really empty without color, and I didn't feel like I had much of a choice but to add that in. And if you look in the background of that part, you'll see an amalgamation of gradients morphing to the beat of the song. It actually uses advanced follow to randomly move the gradient points around a shared center object. Because it's random, it actually morphs differently in every showcase and completion you see. The morphing gradients are another representation of the man's separation from humanity. He is simply a combination of thoughts constantly changing, someone that isn't quantifiable. One might call him a menace. If there's been one thing from Menace that I've been critiqued the most on, it would absolutely be the poem. And honestly, for good reason. I was hesitant to even call it a poem when I finished writing it, but for simplicity's sake, I will just continue to call it that for this video. Before I dive deeper, I do want to say that I didn't do the greatest job. I feel as though I could have made the meaning of the poem more comprehensible, as some of the ideas presented seem to contradict each other. This is one of the main reasons I'm making this video. I want to clear up any misconceptions with the meaning. The level only uses a portion of the poem due to a lack of space. The full thing is found in the showcase description. I attempted to make it an exploration of truth, meaning, and existence. Its purpose is to encapsulate the idea of someone who challenges divine purpose and takes it to its absolute extreme. The reason I chose this is because it's something that I've struggled with and I still tend to think about. The poem was not one-to-one with what I believed at the time, rather it was an exaggeration of my beliefs. One of the clearest messages is the rejection of divinity. I explicitly deny a belief in deities in the poem, separating truth from divine intervention. I found that Abrahamic faiths often equate to an all-encompassing belief system, as what is taught is often quite clear. I don't bring this up because I find it to be a bad thing. I bring it up because I found that separation from a belief system and a belief in theistic religions struggle to exist at the same time. The repeated statement, "the only truth is that there is no truth," is almost the antithesis of what religions aim to do. Religious truth is never relative, it's always absolute. I was suggesting that any pursuit of ultimate truth is futile. I want to take a look at the following section. A pursuit of freedom is in vain if one chases something larger than themselves. All things beyond conscience are fiction. True freedom does not exist in circumstance, it exists in thought. Now, why would someone say or think that finding freedom through a higher power is useless? Well, in this case, we already denied the existence of a deity. This thought process would most likely deny the existence of truth outside of oneself, as in a truth that is constant and applicable to everyone. By saying all things beyond conscience are fiction, this hypothetical person denies the existence of a reality outside of their own thoughts. The most confusing part of the poem is most likely the section that states, meaning exists without the divine, meaning equates to truth, and the only truth is that there is no truth. Starting by saying meaning exists without the divine seems to contradict the following lines. I was implying that you don't need a higher power to have a meaning, but we don't have a meaning in this case because there is no truth in this world, according to the poem. What I was trying to say here is that there are no absolute truths, but that is a truth in and of itself, making this a paradox. The reason I said that meaning equates to truth is because in this exaggerated mindset, your purpose must be based entirely on what truth you know. If meaning equates to truth, then it would only exist in that singular truth. The last thing I want to talk about regarding the poem is why I chose the word menace. I knew it was going to be called Menace before I finished the poem, so I had to work the name into it. Luckily, I already knew what the poem was going to be about. It's called Menace because that's what a person with this mindset would be seen as by society. It's really not much more than that. For a long time, I grappled with the idea of truth not existing. So my immediate reaction to that was just to give up on my search. I still struggle to recognize any absolute truth, but I realize that it can be just fine to live off your own truths. I believe that we are the ones who dictate our meaning. This is why I try to live a judgment-free life. I respect other people's beliefs because at the end of the day, I recognize that I could be wrong about mine.